Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back on GT Sport and we're back with the FIA Manufacturers race at Brands Hatch in the Group 4 cars. So we are driving the Mustang obviously for this season. We're getting towards the end of the season now, and this track was very much suited to the handling car. So starting from P1 you see there the Toyota 86 and then the Megane, obviously very strong at Brands Hatch still, the Megane, and then again the Toyota 86. So you'll see that it's pretty much dominated the first front, like 3 or 4 or 5 cars on the grid, dominated by handling cars. Again, the NSX, probably not the best handling car, but it's definitely one of the better cars in terms of handling. Then P5 again, another Toyota 86. As you see, we get now to start to come through to some of the FR cars in P6 with the Hyundai, then the Mercedes, and then the first of the Fords, driven by TR Adam. I actually managed to get myself just behind that, you see, in P9, because we basically robbed the slipstream off of TG and managed to get a fairly solid lap time in a 27.9, put myself in P9, and that was pretty much all I could expect really out of qualifying, because my pace wasn't brilliant round here, if I'm honest. You see IA Racing right behind me in the Toyota 86 as well. We've got a lot of handling cars starting behind us. A Cayman again, better on tyre wear. This race was quite aggressive for the tyres. It was an issue for myself towards the end of the race during practices, so we're going to be under pressure towards the end, and I knew that it would be a defensive race, trying to hold on to the slipstream for as long as possible to the faster cars at the front. You see there we get Jonas at the back there in P16, and surprisingly the Alpha 4C, which should really be right at the front, is one of the strongest cars, but obviously I think that might have been a driver that's managed to get into top split that's not normally there, because I've not seen that name very often in top split, so probably not used to the competition that's in top split. But right at the back there, the last of the Fords, as we're about to start this race now. You can see I have my bias 3 to the rear. I could have gone 5 to the rear to try and save the front tyres a bit. You can see they're putting it back to 4 to the rear just to try and we was going to do that. I think we did our first races with 5 to the rear, but found the rear was a little bit too loose, so decided to go to 4 to the rear. I'm not sure if we changed it through the race. Let's have a little look now, as we're going to stick behind TRL Adam and just try and stay with him for as long as possible. Basically, TRL Adam's pace here was much better than mine in the Mustang Group 4 car. He is really starting to fly in that Mustang car now, the Group 4 Mustang. He seems to be really getting the hang of that car and pushing it a lot further than the majority of other drivers. There are some obviously other drivers. I don't know how much practice some of these people are putting in, but obviously TRL Adam doing very well in that car. So we're going to try and hold on for as long as possible in this slipstream. We've got IA Racing in the Toyota 86, which is, as we see, very much the best car for this track. We've seen it starting at the front of the grid with Mura, and then also with Manuel Rodri in P3, so that car is going to be hard to keep away. However, the advantage we've got with the Mustang is straight line speed. This car is all about power. It suffers a bit with handling, but and it will use their front tyres up, but it has very strong straight line speed and reasonably good acceleration, so it's going to be almost impossible for that 86 to get past unless it can do it on one of the corners. As long as we can hold the apex and position the car correctly, we should be okay to defend against the 86. We'll see if that battle commences later on, as we're now just hanging on in there in the slipstream at the moment, trying to really drive it smoothly. The first races I was tending to use up too much tyre life, and I think we didn't really do a brilliant job in qualifying. This race we obviously qualified a little bit better. We're in P9 and doing an okay job at the moment. Obviously just completing our first main lap there with the outlap done, and just trying to hold on to TRL Adam. The main aim here was to stay with him for as long as possible. I needed to stay in the slipstream range just to be able to defend for towards the end of the race. Obviously when them handling cars come back at me, I didn't want the handling cars all over me at the start, because I need to try and save my tyres during the early phase while we're in this slipstream, as you see there now. Back into that slipstream, we did nearly lose it early on in that early lap, but we managed to get quite close back to him now, and now we've got that double draft. This is the thing about being in slipstream as well. When you've got more than one car ahead of the car you're following, it really helps your car get even more of a boost. It's like a double effect on your car that gives it really strong straight line speed. You can see that working on the straight with IA Racing, literally losing about 3 or 4 attempts on that very short straight. Obviously the 86 is very slow down the straights, however it's emphasised by the fact that we're getting that double toe, as TRL Adam there getting very loose on that right hand corner, very tricky corner that can catch a lot of drivers out. I've seen many drivers, including myself, have made mistakes there in the past, but he managed to save that, and luckily for him he managed to stay in the slipstream of the SLS in front of him, driven by Carl Williams, my teammate for esports and cars. And obviously Mercedes doing a very good job in that Mercedes as well. You see they're holding on to the back of the Hyundai. I think the Hyundai was probably a better car for this track in terms of for the FR cars over the Mustang and the SLS, but still doing a good job there for us in front of us, Carl Williams in that Mercedes, as we're all just pretty much lining up as a train. And this goes back to something I really hope we get sorted for the next season in FIA in terms of changes that need to be made. I hope we go back to a longer race format. So for the example, Group 4 here should be, I believe it should be a 15-lap race, and then have a pit stop in there somewhere. Just try and make sure that we've got some strategy involved. Hopefully they can do something with the tyre model as well. We've talked about that in the past with closing the gap between tyres and making the harder tyre actually more drivable for that longer period to make strategy actually work. They've got to try and get it so it's an equal, you know, if you want to go on the softer tyre, you're going to have to pit then. It'd be really nice if we could do like one stint on the softs and put the mediums on, or you could do 2 medium stints that are going to be equally paced, or drag out 2 soft stints and it all be equal. That'd be really nice for a new season of the FIA. I hope they can bring the tyre model into that type of range and then create races like that, because I think the races have got a little bit too short. You can see we're almost coming to the end of lap 3, over a third of the way through the race already. It's only just started. We're starting to lose that slipstream. You see from TRL Adam there, I've pretty much lost the draft, which is not good. That's going to really make it very difficult for myself in this race, but I knew I didn't have the pace to stay with TRL Adam, so it was just a case of staying with him for as long as possible. That was all I was trying to do for the opening few laps. Just give myself that little boost that maybe drag me a second further up the field. You can see it's given me a nice cushion to IA Racing, and actually a bit of a cushion to the cars behind, because we had the Cayman and a few other cars that are going to be able to pressure us towards the end of this race now, but they're a little bit far back, so maybe they'll only catch us up on the last few laps. As you see, they're running extremely wide out of that left-hand corner. Very risky corner. You can run really wide, get a lot of dirt on your tyres, which will then compromise your entry and exit from this corner. It's one thing you really need to try and avoid, is running too far out wide off the racing line onto the dirt, etc. As long as you keep 2 tyres, I find, on the tarmac, your grip should be okay. As soon as you get more than 2 tyres off the track, you start having issues into the next corner in terms of braking and hitting the apex and carrying the speed through the corner as well. As we're now well and truly lost that slipstream now, and what you can see happening now is that IA Racing is going to start putting us under a bit more pressure, because I haven't got that slipstream to drag me that extra speed down the straight, and now that he's able to obviously really put pressure on through the corners, the Toyota 86 is just another car when it comes to corners compared to the Mustang. It's able to carry way more speed, he's able to get in that slipstream. And now I'm going to find it hard to actually pull away so much. We're obviously going to pull away a bit, but he's going to be able to hang in there with the extra speed that slipstream is going to give him. You see now down this straight, he's only a few tenths behind it. As we now come into the last half of the race, obviously this is where it's going to be really difficult for the Mustang with the tyre wear situation. You can see I'm still not too far off of TRL Adam. We're starting to lose a bit more. This is my problem at the moment on Gran Turismo Sport. I'm finding when the grip's there, I'm not too bad, but I'm starting to use too much tyre life up. However, with today's update that has come out today, I am seeing a bit of a difference in terms of the way the car is handling again. I don't know what it is, but it feels much better, and I'm hoping we can do a reasonably good result on our final race on Saturday. So that should be interesting if the update has helped me out again. It looks like even though the track is not great for me on Nations, the car actually seems like, I feel like I can get a decent result there. We should be able to push a top 10 time as well in the time trials for both the Nations and Manufacturer. So that would be interesting to see if the update has helped me out again, as we now see IA Racing all over the rear. We're having to drive really defensive now. You can see he's got so much more speed through the corners, but we're not going to let him go past, because this race was all about fun. I knew I couldn't really get the result that I needed. We pretty much gave up on Manufacturers probably about 15 rounds ago. We just do it for fun now. Don't really practice too much, but what I wanted to do was defend. One thing I am quite good at on Gran Turismo Sport is defending quite hard. I tried to defend hard and fair as we go through this apex, this corner, making sure that we carry the speed through there, because obviously that 86 is going to be able to carry more speed. However, it's not going to be able to make a move really because of the lack of straight line speed into turn 1, so I don't really need to defend that line. We're going to take our normal line through here. You can see the better line that the 86 can take. However, he doesn't get a strong exit from there, and he's quite far back. You can see in the mirror he's nowhere near being able to make a move. However, this is IA racing for you. Literally just lunged it in there from way too far back, pushed me out of the way. We'll show you the replay of that. And then I tried to go up the left there, and he tried to cut me off. We'll show all this in slow motion, and I'll show you why I was quite wound up on the stream. But luckily for me, you can see I decided to go down the right hand side and give him a narrow angle into that corner. Braked early to try and trick him, thinking I was going to go around the outside. Undercut, use the power of the Mustang, and a fairly simple pass back past IA Racing. I really think he was quite annoyed at that one, that we managed to get straight back past him, you can see, because that Toyota 86 just struggles on the straight line. So let's have a little look now. He just basically pushes his way through there. Very IA Racing style. And then this point here now, he decides to, like, we'll slow it down. Watch how he turns as he sees me go down the left. He turns into me thinking that I'm not there, but I'd already had the front of my car up alongside him. Was going to probably be more than half a car length into the braking zone, into that apex, that corner. So we'll see it again in slow motion. From this point really shows you why I was quite frustrated with what he did, because he's going right now to take the normal racing line. I turn left because I know I've got the speed advantage with a better exit off that corner also, and the Mustang's power. And then he starts turning there and cutting right back across the racing line for me. I think I would have been able to get alongside him then and then get the position back into this next corner. However, he tried to block it there. Not nice to see. A little bit naughty in my personal opinion. But luckily for myself, the Mustang's power got me straight back past. And now he's got to try and find another way back past us, because I know that he's going to go for that move if he's got an opportunity. So I'm going to defend that line pretty much no matter where he is now, because if he's going to lunge it from 3 attempts back, 4 attempts back, whatever it is back, I'll defend that line, make sure he can't do it. So now on this lap, you can see going to start defending through here. Don't really need to defend too much through this section because it's not really an overtaking place. But like I say, this is IA Racing. Very much he's probably not as bad as Tanker, etc. But he can be very aggressive and a little bit not the best racecraft really, because he needed to find a better way past. I think his best opportunity was into turn 1 if he tried to get a better exit and use a bit more racecraft to get his car in the position, although he would have had this straight to obviously to try and get past. However, I think he could have carried a lot more speed if he'd have held back a bit more off of the final corner. But you can see, look at the extra speed he can carry through there. However, he's not going to be able to use it this time, because I'm going to go on the inside, block off that attempt for an overtake. He's going to try and go around the outside this time. However, that move doesn't tend to work. We get a better exit, and I just cover across the normal racing line, and he starts flashing me, looking in the mirror there, flashing me, not very happy by the looks of it. I presume he wasn't very happy with the fact that I covered that line, and again, he hasn't got the straight line speed to go down that left hand side. He's going to try around the outside there. I'm going to cover the inside, and he's not going to be able to make that move. So let's have a little look back at what he was flashing at there. So this is what he was flashing at into this corner. You can see I take the tight line, get on the power nice and early, give him space, there's no real, we didn't cut him up at all. He just didn't really put the car alongside, and he started flashing me, which was a bit strange. We showed this live on stream as well. I think he was getting frustrated at the fact that the Mustang was so much faster down the straights and he couldn't get past. Maybe it was frustrating for him, but at the end of the day, it's my job to defend against that 86 and get whatever position I can. And now he's got the added pressure that Dilster is coming behind in that Porsche Cayman. You can see it in the distance. He's starting to, you can see him just behind the Toyota 86 actually there, looking in the top right hand corner. That Porsche is all over the 86, so this is good for me, because if he's having to defend, it's going to make him much harder for him to make a move. As you see, he's having to go defensive already there into this braking zone. Although that isn't really an overtaking opportunity. I wouldn't really have gone defensive there. I don't think that anyone would really go for a move there. It would be pretty much suicidal to go for a move there at Brands Hatch in Group 4. It's not really an overtaking opportunity. As we again keeping it very tight to apex, holding it on the apex, making sure that he can't get on the power. Very clever driving, and then using the Mustang's power. You see he's on the inside there now, but because of Dilster behind him, he wasn't able to take that better line to give him better exit speed. And now again into turn 1, I'm going to take my normal line. He actually hits the rear of our car there. He's obviously getting frustrated that he hasn't got the speed in terms of straight line speed to get past, and now he's too far back to really make a move into this corner. Although I'm going to take a very early apex anyway, just to make sure that he can't dive up there on the inside, as we now getting on the penultimate lap, and that the Cayman is really starting to put him under a lot of pressure. And this is good for me though. Like I say, the more pressure he's under, it means I'm going to have a much easier life for these last few laps. If I can hold on in the Mustang with the tyre, you only have to look at that front left tyre, completely dead. I'm some reason I was destroying the tyres in the last few races in Group 4. We had the start towards the start of the season. I think we had a race at Sardinia in Group 4, and I was actually one of the better cars with tyre wear, but something's changed with either the tyre model or physics or the game. Something's got changed drastically for me, and I'm struggling with the tyre wear again with these Group 4 cars. It's not so bad with Group 3, but with Group 4 Mustang, it's a real struggle. Let's hope that this latest update has fixed the issues I've been having, because it's not just been Group 4 really, it's been Group 2, other cars as well. Not really had the pace, but it looks like it may be fixed now, and hopefully I'll be able to push the time trials to see if we are in a better situation after this latest update. You see Dilster there looking again to go on that inside, and that's good for me again, because it's given me the ability to just defend that line into the final corner. And now we've got one more lap to defend against these two drivers. Can I hold on in this Ford Mustang? Which I would be really happy with. You can see how much I've lost pace to TRL Adam. Really shows you how much I'm struggling with tyre wear, because it's pretty much as soon as that tyre wear kicks in, I really start struggling in terms of pace, which you're gonna in the Mustang, because the Mustang really does rely on that the front tyre grip to be able to get any sort of paces out of it, as the two cars behind battling massive. You can see Dilster on the inside of the 86 behind us in the mirror, and on the top right hand corner, that replay actually gives IA Racing a little nudge out there and takes that position. So now I'm going to have to probably defend against the Porsche, which is a bit faster down the straight than the Toyota G86, but luckily we're on the final lap now, and I think it's a good job that this was the final lap, because I think the Porsche might have had a bit more of a chance of getting past the Mustang, especially in the slipstream, because the Porsche is quite strong when in the slipstream because of the gearing as we go through these corners. For the last time now, just trying to hold on, trying to get the car into the apex of the corner, which was not easy with this tyre wear that was on the front left. It was really struggling to turn through these right hand corners when all the weight's on that front left hand tyre. You can see as we go through this corner, getting very close to that grass on the left hand side, nearly running into the grass, but just about holding on, but not really carrying the speed. As we go now, we're going to have to stick it to the right hand side of the track. We've got the Cayman right behind us, but all I have to do now is hold the apex, lift off a little bit, and then get back on the power on the apex. And you see again, they can't really do anything about that. We take the right hand side to the shortest line to the finishing line, and the Mustang's powers taking me over line for a well-deserved P8, and actually a very good drive, I felt, even though we didn't have the speed once the tyre wear kicked in. But you can see the difference between the Toyota 86 and the other cars. You can see the gap there, quite a massive gap, and that shows you how good that Toyota 86 is around this track. And I was quite surprised that the IA Racing wasn't able to get past, really. I do understand he didn't have the power, but I think through the corners he could have made a more tactical move than what he did. He got a little bit frustrated, and I think that affected his ability to get past me. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. We're going to be catching up with a lot more videos now that obviously the kids are back at school. I do apologise for the lack of videos recently, but the kids are back at school now. We can start catching up with the videos and getting back up to date. So I'll see you for more videos very soon. Thanks again for watching, everyone.